For 60 years, I have watched people pray Psalm 91 over their lives. 60 years. I have heard it recited at hospital bedsides. I have heard it whispered over sleeping children. I have heard it declared at the beginning of long journeys, before dangerous surgeries, before moving into new homes. And I have watched with these old eyes as people prayed that psalm faithfully, desperately, sincerely, and remained stuck, remained afraid, remained unprotected in the very areas where they needed God most. Tonight I'm going to show you why. And before you turn away, before you say, Rabbi, Psalm 91 is holy Psalm 91 is Scripture, how dare you say anything against it? Hear me. I am not saying Psalm 91 is false. I am saying that you have been given half the truth, and half a truth, my friend, can be more dangerous than a lie. Because a lie you can recognize and reject, but half a truth keeps you coming back, keeps you reciting, keeps you hoping, while the enemy laughs, because he knows what you don't know. What I'm about to reveal to you has been deliberately kept quiet by religious institutions for centuries, not because it is heresy, because it is too powerful, and power in the hands of ordinary people threatens those who have built empires on keeping ordinary people dependent, weak, and afraid. So right now, before I go any further, I need you to do something. Type the word Shomer in the comments right now. Shomer. It is the Hebrew word for watchman, guardian, protector. When you type that word, you're not just engaging with the YouTube algorithm. You're making a declaration in the spiritual realm that you are ready to receive what real divine protection looks like. Type Shomer right now and hit that like button, because every time you press it, you are telling heaven, I agree with what this man is about to release. Subscribe to this channel, not because I need the numbers, but because what I am releasing here is ancient wisdom that the modern world has nearly destroyed, and someone has to keep it alive. Now let me take you somewhere. I want you to close your eyes for just a moment. Picture the hills outside Jerusalem. Ancient hills covered in olive trees, limestone dust on the roads, the sun beating down without mercy. Pilgrims are walking those roads. Poor pilgrims, farmers, merchants, people who left everything they knew to travel to the holy city for the festival. And as they walked, they were afraid. Bandits hid in those hills. Wild animals prowled at night. The road was dangerous in ways our comfortable modern lives cannot imagine. And as these pilgrims walked, they sang. They sang songs from a collection the ancient rabbis called the Shir Hamalot, the Songs of Ascent, 15 psalms, Psalm 120 through Psalm 134, sung specifically on the journey upward to Jerusalem. And buried inside those 15 songs is one psalm that those ancient travelers clung to like a lifeline. One psalm that the Kabbalists recognized as containing a specific divine frequency for protection, for watching, for guarding, unlike anything else in the entire Tanakh. That psalm is Psalm 121. And I will tell you right now, most of you have never been taught to use it the way it was designed to be used. You know Psalm 91. He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. Beautiful, true, holy. But here is what the ancient rabbis understood, and almost no one teaches anymore. Psalm 91 is a psalm of position. It describes the protection available to those who have already established their dwelling place in God. It begins with a condition. He who dwells. If you dwell there, then this happens. It is conditional. It is a description of a state of being that must already exist before the protection activates. Psalm 121 is different, completely different, and when you understand why everything changes. The great Rabbi Akiva, who was perhaps the greatest Torah scholar who ever lived, who walked through fire and survived persecution that broke every other man of his generation, once said this. He said, "The person who knows where to lift their eyes will never be abandoned by heaven." I heard this teaching for the first time when I was a young man studying in Jerusalem, and it stopped me completely. Where to lift their eyes. Not just that they lift their eyes, but where. Direction matters. Target matters. In the spiritual realm where you aim your attention determines what you receive. And Psalm 121 begins with the most important question in all of Scripture. 4 words that have been mistranslated, misunderstood, and misused for generations. I lift up my eyes to the hills. From where does my help come? Now most people read that and think it is beautiful poetry. The psalmist is looking at the mountains, feeling inspired by God's majestic creation and trusting that help will come from those big, powerful hills. But that is the mistranslation. That is the error that has been passed down for centuries, and it is costing you your protection. In the original Hebrew, this is not a statement of trust. This is a question of crisis. The ancient rabbis of the Talmudic period pointed out something that most modern translations completely erase. The word for hills, here harim, was also the word used for the high places, the pagan shrines, the altars of false gods that were built on hilltops throughout the ancient world. When the psalmist says, "I lift my eyes to the hills," he is saying, I am surrounded by danger. I can see the high places of my enemies. I can see the power that is arrayed against me. And then comes the question, not a statement of faith, a desperate cry. From where does my help come? This changes the entire psalm, because the very next line is the answer. And it is one of the most thunderous declarations in all of human literature. My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. Do you hear the shift? The psalmist is not gazing at beautiful mountains, feeling peaceful. He is surrounded. He is threatened. He is looking at the forces arrayed against him. Financial forces, spiritual forces, physical forces, enemy forces, and he is asking with everything in him, where is my help going to come from? And then something breaks open in his spirit, and he declares, not from any hill, not from any human power, not from any system or strategy or strength of my own. My help comes from the one who made the hills, the one who made everything those hills represent, the maker of heaven and earth. That is not the prayer of a comfortable man. That is the prayer of a man who is about to be destroyed and has found the only source of rescue that actually works. Now here is where it gets extraordinary. Here is where the ancient rabbis found something that will shake you, because the psalm does not stop there. After that declaration, something begins to happen in the text that is unlike anything else in Scripture, and it has been hidden in plain sight for 3,000 years. The psalm shifts from the first person to the third person, and back again. And the Kabbalists notice that in the original Hebrew, there is a dialogue happening. A dialogue between two voices. The voice of the person who is afraid, who is asking, who is looking at the hills and crying out. And the voice of the guardian Shomer, Israel, the Watchman of Israel who responds, back and forth, question and answer, fear and assurance, human cry and divine promise. Verse 3, He will not let your foot slip. He who watches over you will not slumber. Who is sleeping in your life right now? Who has gone quiet when you needed them most? The relationships that have gone cold, the opportunities that seemed to fall asleep, the promises that felt like they entered a coma. The psalm is speaking directly to that experience, to the terror of the night when you feel unguarded, unwatched, forgotten. And it says, your watchman does not sleep. He cannot sleep. It is not in his nature. Verse 4, indeed, he who watches over Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. Hear the great Rabbi Nachman of Breslov. And if you know his teachings, you know he understood suffering in ways few humans ever have. He taught this about verse 4. He said that the repetition, the fact that the text says it twice once about your foot and once about Israel, is deliberate. He said God is saying, I am watching over you, not just as an individual, but as part of something larger. Your protection is connected to a covenant that goes beyond your single moment of crisis. When you understand that the God who watches over you is the same God who has maintained the covenant with his people for 4,000 years of exile, of persecution, of attempted destruction, and they are still here. The people are still here. The Torah is still here. The covenant is still here. Then you understand the quality of the watching that is being promised over your specific life. Type Shomer in the comments right now if you are still with me. Because I need to know who is receiving this. And I need you to know that when you write that word, you are identifying yourself as someone who is under that watch, not just hoping to be, declaring that you already are. Now let me show you the 3 specific declarations inside Psalm 121 that the ancient travelers used as spiritual weapons, not as poetry, not as comfort, as weapons, as active spoken, deliberate forces released into the atmosphere around them. The first declaration is this: the Lord watches over your going out and your coming in from this time forth and forevermore. Most people glide right past that. But stop. Sit with it. You're going out. Every departure, every risk you take, every step into the unknown. Every time you leave the safety of what you know and walk into what you do not know. The job you are going to apply for. The business you are thinking about starting. The conversation you are terrified to have. Every departure, and you're coming in, every return, every homecoming, every threshold you cross back into your own life. The Lord watches over both, the beginning of every journey and the end of every journey. The ancient travelers sang this because the road was dangerous in both directions, and they needed to know that the watching never stopped. The Baal Shem Tov, the founder of Hasidic mysticism, one of the most spiritually illuminated human beings who ever walked this earth, once said something that pierced me to my core when I first encountered it as a young rabbi. He said, a person who does not know they are being watched lives in constant fear. A person who knows they are being watched by love lives in constant peace. That is the difference between Psalm 91 and Psalm 121. Psalm 91 describes a shelter you must enter. Psalm 121 describes a gaze that never leaves you. You cannot accidentally wander out of it. You cannot fall asleep and forget to to maintain it. It is not conditional on your spiritual performance or your level of faith or how perfectly you recite the words. It is simply, He is watching. That is all. He is watching. The second declaration inside this psalm is the one that the Kabbalists called the shield of sun and moon. The sun will not harm you by day, nor the moon by night. Now to modern ears, this sounds like pleasant metaphor, but to the ancient Hebrew mind, sun and moon were not just astronomical objects. They were the two great forces that govern time itself. The sun governs the day, the visible, the active, the exposed. The moon governs the night, the hidden, the passive, the vulnerable. And what the psalm is declaring is this: in every mode of existence, in every condition, in every season, whether you are in a season of visibility and activity or a season of hiddenness and waiting, whether you are in a time of strength or a time of weakness, neither the burning heat of what is obvious nor the cold darkness of what is hidden will be allowed to destroy you. Think about what is burning you right now. Think about what is obvious and exposed in your life. The debt that everyone can see, the relationship that has fallen apart in public, the failure that feels impossible to hide. The sun is not harming you. And think about what is hidden in the dark, the fear you have not told anyone, the diagnosis you are waiting to hear, the dream you buried because you were too ashamed to keep carrying it. The moon is not harming you. You are watched in both. The third declaration, and this is the one that will wreck you if you truly receive it, is in verse 7. The Lord will keep you from all evil. He will keep your soul. The word for keep here in Hebrew is the same root as Shomer, guardian, watchman. And it is used twice in one verse. He will shomer you from all evil. He will shomer your soul. There is a rabbinical teaching from Maimonides, the great philosopher and legal authority, the Rambam, as he was known, that says protection in the spiritual realm operates in two directions simultaneously. It keeps evil from entering your life, and it keeps the most essential part of you intact, even when evil does come near. Even in the valley, your soul is guarded. Even when the worst happens, the deepest part of who you are cannot be touched. That is what the psalm is promising. Now I need to give you the practice, because this is not a psalm you read once at a funeral and forget. This is a psalm you use as a daily declaration of spiritual reality over your actual circumstances. Here is what you must do, and you must do it for 3 days without interruption. 3 days, because 3 is the biblical number of completion and transformation. Think of Jonah in the fish, 3 days. Think of Esther's fast before approaching the king, 3 days. Think of the pattern embedded in Scripture from the very beginning. 3 days is the threshold between crisis and breakthrough. On the first day, you speak Psalm 121 out loud, all 8 verses, slowly, not frantically, not desperately, with authority. You are not begging God to watch over you. You are declaring that He already is. You are aligning your spoken words with a spiritual reality that already exists. Do this in the morning before the noise of the day begins. Stand if you are able, because standing is a posture of authority, not a posture of begging. You are a child of the covenant, speaking the covenant promises back to the covenant God. That is not desperation. That is inheritance. On the second day, after you speak the psalm, you write down the one specific area of your life where you feel most unprotected. Just one. The one that wakes you up at 3 a.m, the one that makes your stomach drop when you think about it. You write it down, and then you write verse 8 over it. The Lord will watch over your going out and your coming in from this time forth and forevermore. You write it directly over whatever the fear is. You are covering it with declaration. You are placing the watchman over the specific area where you feel most exposed. On the third day, something completes. The Kabbalists taught that the third day is the day the spiritual reality breaks through into the physical realm. It does not always look dramatic. It does not always announce itself with thunder. Sometimes it comes as a phone call you were not expecting. Sometimes it comes as a sudden peace where there was only panic. Sometimes it comes as a door opening that was sealed shut for months. But something shifts. The completion of the 3-day cycle seals what was declared on day 1 and written on day 2. It is covenant action. You are doing your part. Heaven responds to covenant action. Now let me speak directly to someone watching this right now, and you will know if this is for you, because something in your chest is going to move when you hear it. You have been protecting everyone else for so long that you forgot to let anyone protect you. You have been the strong one, the one who holds it together, the one who carries the weight so that others don't have to feel it. And somewhere along the way, in all that giving and carrying and protecting, you started to feel completely unprotected yourself, like you were standing on a road with no walls, no shelter, no cover, completely exposed to whatever comes next. And the fear of what might come next has started to feel louder than any faith you can find. Heaven is saying something to you tonight, right now, in this moment. You are not unprotected. You have never been unprotected. The exhaustion you feel is not evidence of divine absence. It is evidence of human limitation. And your human limitation is exactly the threshold where divine protection becomes visible. Psalm 121 was not written for the strong. It was written for the weary pilgrim on a dangerous road who looked up at the hills surrounding them and asked, with everything they had left, "Where does my help come from?" And heaven's answer has not changed in 3,000 years. My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. Your maker knows your address. He knows the road you are on. He knows what is coming at you from directions you cannot see. And he is watching, not sometimes, not on good days, not when your faith is strong enough, always. His eyes do not close. His attention does not waver. You're seen. Let me tell you about something I have witnessed with my own eyes in over 60 years of teaching this psalm to people in crisis. There was a woman years ago who came to me after her husband had left her. Savings were gone, and she was facing the loss of her home with 2 children still living in it. She was beyond desperation. She told me she had prayed Psalm 91 every day for 2 years. She recited it over her marriage. She recited it over her finances. She recited it over her children. And she felt nothing. She was still losing everything. She asked me, "Rabbi, why doesn't God hear me?" I asked her one question. I said, "When you pray Psalm 91, do you feel like you are entering a shelter? Or do you feel like you are trying to force open a door that will not open?" She looked at me for a long moment and she said, "I feel like I am knocking on a door that never opens." I said, "Then try a different psalm, not because God is not in Psalm 91, but because you are standing in the wrong posture. Psalm 91 requires a dwelling. You are a traveler, not a dweller right now, and travelers need Psalm 121. She began using Psalm 121 as I taught her in the 3-day pattern with the written declaration over her specific fear. Within 2 weeks, a legal issue with her mortgage that had seemed completely resolved against her suddenly reversed. Within a month, a job offer appeared that she had not applied for. She did not get everything back overnight, but the watching, she told me later, she could feel the watching. For the first time in years, she felt seen. And when you feel seen, you stop making desperate decisions. When you feel protected, you stop running in fear. And when you stop running in fear, you start moving in wisdom. And wisdom always leads to provision. That is the pattern. It is always the pattern. The protection comes first in the spirit, and then the provision follows in the natural. Before I close, let me give you one more piece of ancient wisdom that most people in the church and synagogue will never hear. The great Nachmanides, Rabbi Moshe ben Nachman, one of the towering giants of medieval Jewish scholarship, wrote something extraordinary in his commentary on the Songs of Ascent. He wrote that these Psalms, Psalm 120 through 134, were structured intentionally to be sung in motion, not sitting still, in motion, on the road, while traveling, because the ancient rabbis understood something the modern church has forgotten. Protection is not a passive state. It is not something that surrounds you while you sit still and wait. Protection activates in movement. The watchman watches over your going out and your coming in. Both require motion. You must be going out. You must be coming in. You must be moving. And as you move, the watching moves with you. So here is what I am saying to you. Stop waiting for all the danger to clear before you move forward with your life. Stop waiting until the financial situation resolves before you take the next step toward your purpose. Stop waiting until the relationship heals before you begin to hope again. Move. Take one step in the direction you know you are supposed to go. And the Shomer, the Watchman, the one who neither slumbers nor sleeps, will be watching every step of that movement. Your going out is covered. Your coming in is covered. The sun in the day and the moon in the night are not allowed to harm you. And from this time forth and forevermore, not just for the season you are in, not just until this crisis passes, but forevermore the Lord keeps your soul. This is not poetry. This is reality. Ancient reality, verified reality, the reality that kept a small people alive through every empire that tried to destroy them. The reality that is available to you tonight in your specific situation, in your specific fear, in your specific place of exposure. I want to close by speaking something over you. And I ask that you receive it not as the words of an old rabbi on a screen, but as the echo of a 3,000-year-old covenant that was spoken over your spiritual ancestors and now tonight passes through me to you. May the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the one who made the hills and towers above them, open his eyes fully over your life right now. May he watch over every road you walk, every door you approach, every night you endure, every morning you greet. May the sun of your day not burn you, and may the darkness of your night not swallow you. May his rod of protection stand between you and every force that has been assigned against you. May his staff of guidance redirect every step that was heading toward destruction. And may you truly feel perhaps, for the first time in a very long time, the sacred sensation of being watched by perfect love. May your foot not slip. May your soul be kept. May the watching that has been over you since before you drew your first breath become visible to you now in the midst of whatever valley you're walking through, in the midst of whatever hills are surrounding you, so that you can lift your eyes and ask the ancient question with the ancient faith and receive the ancient answer. My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. Now go and speak Psalm 121 out loud today. Write it over your fear. Declare it over your household. Carry it with you as a weapon, not as comfort as a weapon. And come back in 3 days and tell me what shifted. Subscribe to this channel. What I release here is not entertainment. It is ancient armor for a modern war. Share this with one person in your life who is afraid right now. One person who needs to know that the Watchman is watching. And like this video so that YouTube will put it in front of someone tonight who is on a dangerous road and desperately needs to know they are not traveling alone. I'm Yisrael Chai. The people of God live, and tonight so do you. Shalom.